JP, welcome to the Expert Circle podcast. I love your business name, No Worries Tree Service. Out of Michigan there, Schoolcraft area. Tell me how you got started in the business.
Well, I was working for a logger and just wanted to make a dollar for myself instead of working for somebody. You can, Unfortunately, these days, working for yourself, you can make a lot more doing a lot less. And
Yep.
I mean, even with the support of what a company can provide, doesn't necessarily always outweigh, you know, when you're doing any kind of manual toiling, you only got so much life to live, you know?
Hey, life's too short. If you have the skills and you feel called to have your own business, I think God
Well,
puts that spark inside of us where we have that spirit where we want to be entrepreneurs and sounds like you
well,
had that.
Well, it's not just that. I mean, in a lot of occupations, the amount it takes to run a business these days consumes, and the money that you made either for yourself or somebody else gets doled out so far that I'm in a position now where I can climb or do one job, whereas if I was working for a company, I'd have to do two jobs a day to make even the same amount of money, where now I can do one job and be covered for a couple of days.
Yep.
It's just, I mean, do you want to have the support of, or I guess when you don't work for yourself, the best thing in all the occupations I've done is just the lack of responsibility. You're sick that day, you make an error or whatever. There's other people, and uh, there's a net to catch you. But doing it for yourself, you got to accept it all on your own.
Yep.
So if
I mean,
you're
that's
not,
why if you're a small business owner, you sometimes take the job home with you. But like you're saying, if you're working,
yeah, quitting my main job, all I really did is get rid of my weekends, man. It's
yeah.
But at the same time, I was a mechanic for a shop,
Hmm.
as well as owning the tree service on the side. I had that for
Yep.
quite a while. And in the shop, I'm hitting 4 or 5 cars a day. Um, at my personal business, I only got to deal with a couple a week, and I make, if not more money, at least the same amount of money with less stress, and then the flexibility to do it when I want.
Yep.
Um, One of the main things is, I got a kid, and they're in school till 2, 3 o'clock. But when you work 8 to 5, the rest of the world also works 8 to 5. So you want to get your banking done, you want to get anything else done, you got to do it on your lunch. You got to do it wherever you get a chance. You got to plan it out.
Yep.
You know, I can work on a car at home at midnight if I want. Nobody really cares as long as it's done properly.
Yep.
I can cut somebody's tree 6 o'clock afternoon,
Yep.
first thing in the morning, whatever works for everybody. But when you got to punch in and out at 5 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 5 o'clock, it really limits your life. Like I said, everything else is open, and closes at 5 o'clock. So makes the world a lot more difficult. And I did that for a number of years, made it happen, but
Yep.
just the freedom,
Huh.
just the freedom that makes it worth it,
Yep.
really.
Yep. So now, even though you're kind of efficient one man crew, which what I hear from a lot of guys is that they really like running their business that way. It's a lot less stress trying to manage employees and payroll and all these different moving parts and buying more equipment. Just keeping it lean and mean is the most profitable. I think you have to get to 3, 4, 5 crews sometimes to where the scaling up makes more sense, right? Sometimes just that second crew is
There's a hump to get over. As with starting any business, a lot of people start in the garage and stuff because it costs a lot to lease a space. It costs a lot You either got to take the plunge, get a loan, get, a gift from somebody, a pile of money to start. You got to have some capital to go big.
Yep.
And then you got to, you're going to be plateaued regardless.
Sure.
You're ultimately going to be paying that loan back so fast that you're not still really going to be sticking your head above water that far for a number of years.
Hmm.
And if you start real small and keep it small, you may find out that the amount of effort to try and go big is probably not worth it,
Hmm.
because the amount you're going to have to pay out, like I said, either be a loan or employees or any of the number of expenses it takes to run a business,
Yep.
they all come out of your backside. You're paying that. So if you just keep it small, honestly, all the rules, regulations, and tax incentives are in your favor. If you're the only employee, you get to take advantage of all those benefits. As soon as you add one employee, you got to think about workers' comp, more insurance, everything else. Just adding that one person, or putting your vehicles on commercial insurance, you open yourself up. You're in California, so here in Michigan, we're a no-fault state, but that slips away as soon as you register your vehicle commercial, which
Hmm.
means if I have an employee who now I'm paying more to have, and I've had plenty of employees in the past, but suddenly if they mess up, and not to talk bad about the industry I'm in, but tree working people aren't always the most up and up, we'll say. Um, and
And you have
and
to be
and
crazy to climb the tree.
just they go. Even just the guy dragging sticks that you trust to drive your truck. Once, like I said, once again, once it's a commercial vehicle, it's not covered under no fault. So they have a good lunch or whatever, and they smoke somebody at an intersection hauling my logs. I'm
Yep.
held liable. I'm paying for all of their mistakes. Whereas if
Interesting.
it's just me,
Yep.
it's on just me.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
it you have enough employees and you start to have trust issues. It's just the way it
Yep.
is,
Yep. Yep.
unfortunately. And so you
Yep.
start, and so for me, it was the battle of trying to either make my life easier by giving other people responsibility, or making my life easier by taking away the responsibility I have for other people.
Yep. JP, that doesn't sound American. Bigger is better. Supersize me, get the, yeah. Uh, I think there's, so much in our culture, right? Says you got to go bigger, bigger's better. And so I think it is a message that is important to share, the message you're sharing that, like you got more freedom, less, stress, less liability. Um,
The stress is
maybe
still
more.
there because, like I said, it's all on me. But
Yep.
as the person who has to do the estimate for either business I have,
Yep.
and I'm also the one putting the hands on your property, whatever it may be, you're
Yep.
talking directly with me. People are a lot more uh, willing to trust me when they, not only am I selling the job, but I'm the one that's going to be doing it.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
and when there's no reason for the world in mass to really push for what I do because they don't benefit. When I grow my company, suddenly I need, don't take this the wrong way, suddenly I
Sure.
need marketing. I need to feed that beast. I need to
Yep.
keep getting jobs. I need to keep. Whereas right now I get one or two good jobs. I can sit for a minute. I can hang out with my daughter. I can
Yep.
do what I want to do. I can jump between the different options. But that's why I said, I don't, when I get a bunch of people calling me, I got to
Yeah.
deal with those calls. That's less time I have hands to put on what's actually making me the money.
Yep. Yep.
So I've stayed away from the I started out advertising. I had 1.15 guys All of them were part-time. I mean, a lot of the jobs I still did by myself, but I usually always had something, and I'd do them on the weekend so that all of them could, I was feeding I didn't have full-time employees. I never got
Okay.
that big, but I always had a number of people I could call who always needed some side money.
Yep.
And for the most part, what I do is property. No damage to the property. There's a lot of like lake houses and places where you just can't get a big company can't come in with the newer equipment, and that's still where I make a lot of my money. Like around here, we have a lot of lakes. Most of the lakes are on a hill, or well, the houses are all on a hill, and the lake is recessed into the land. So
Yep.
you have little cottages and you have difficult areas where you just can't get even the best modern lift machines with tracks. They can't deal with a 45-degree slope on a lakeside on the backside of somebody's cottage that they work their whole life. The last thing they need is the roof smashed or a
Sure.
railing or even the deck. A lot of the people
Yep.
around here, they're blue collar, and it's been like their a nice place. And so they call me. I get to basically charge
Hmm.
what I want within reason. I'm not trying to rip anybody off. But if another company comes
Hmm.
along, I tell them, you can call other people and see what they say. But here's my reputation.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I even give people a couple phone numbers. I've cut these people's trees and talked to them. But as we were discussing prior, most times I don't have to make the sales pitch. I go word of mouth by somebody else's trees I've already cut. I had a good relationship with them.
Yep.
And if they want to extend my number to somebody else, then I go and I check them out.
Yep. Yep. Um, yeah, and that's, I mean, most, home service businesses, the, gold standard, or whatever you want to call it, is getting referral business. So for you, as a, one man show, you're able to mainly survive off of, that. You did some ads in the beginning. If you could,
So we did like local promotions. So trunk or
okay.
treats. We do the trunk or treats every year. We had some local parks. And what they do is essentially all these small businesses and some of the bigger businesses, banks, etc. And we got a couple of large drug companies around here. You might have heard of them: Pfizer,
Mhm.
Stryker. Stryker makes
Mhm.
hospital beds and such. They'd set up too. Obviously they got like full size candy bars and stuff. I'm just handing out, I guess, the schnickel fritz. But
What's trunk or treats for
so,
those that don't?
okay, all right, let's back it up. So a trunk or treat is basically usually it started with people just pulling up their SUV, popping the back, putting some decorations up, putting a couple of costumes on, but it's largely for, I guess it might have developed out of people just being scared for their kids to go around neighborhoods, and so they'll
For
set up in a
Halloween, of course, right? Trunk or treat
right
Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
So
Okay.
they'll typically they're set up in school parking lots, safe spaces with big areas, just big parking lots, and the border of the parking lot will be lined with cars facing trunk inward, and people will
Hmm.
decorate their trunk and hand out candy in lieu of trick or treating.
Got
But
it.
businesses started jumping on board, and so along with the trunk, they'll have a couple of fold-out tables or a little easy up, and they'll hand out or have games or
Yep.
it all depends. We
Sure.
we did some banners and we dressed up. I dressed up like a big lumberjack, put my climbing
Yep.
boots on and all of
Yep.
that. And yeah, the kids had a good time with it. We'd set up some games. We had little like an axe throw with Velcro axes and stuff. And
Hmm.
but even those started getting out of control. I mean, there was trunk or treats where they the first year they'd open it, there'd be 2,000 kids
Yep.
and along with their parents. That's just the kids. And we
Yeah.
based that on how much candy we'd hand out, just trying to
Yep.
guesstimate. But we'd stand there for 3, 4 hours handing out candy.
Yep. Cool.
You guys don't have
So
trunk or
that
treats in California? Is that what you're telling me?
good. I'm gonna start it. Yeah. We don't have that yet.
Really? Maybe it's just
Yeah.
a Midwest thing. I didn't really know. I don't know.
That's cool. Yeah. I had no idea. No idea.
Yeah.
Um,
I think it's
Pretty
just because
cool.
the neighborhood. So another thing is too is like it'll snow on Halloween around here. You know, I mean, you're in a costume. Sometimes it's not so bad for some people, but some of them
Yeah,
girls, you know, they like to show off and they get cold.
yeah.
So,
So the parking lot thing, it's a little cozier, protected.
well, it's definitely the most of
Okay.
that. The trunk or treats are honestly more geared towards the younger kids. You know, under
Okay.
I'd say under 13.
Yeah.
And like I said, so I think a lot of it came out of just parents with the younger kids being afraid to just cut them loose in the neighborhoods. Maybe they
We
don't
need to
live
start
in
the
that
like.
ideal cul-de-sac. They don't whatever, you know, so they're going to go to someplace they feel a little safer. And then they
We can
walk, you
start
know, the
the.
parents walk with them.
Yeah, we need to start the adult, tailgating version of that. Yeah, let's go. Um, Very cool. So it is cold there. Is the auto side, a lot of guys that are in, seasonal tree trimming businesses will do, snow removal or have some kind of complementary business in the winter. So the auto work, you do more of that in the winter, or is that just all year?
So the larger commercial businesses don't even stop. They just keep
Hmm.
cutting. And that's another reason I used to log right through the winter and
Yep.
I don't want to do that anymore. I'm too old.
Yep.
Climbing a tree when it's below freezing or even below zero is I you ever think it's cold on the ground when it's cold outside, go up 30, 40 feet in the tree, get hit with that
Uh,
wind.
yeah.
It's a whole nother
Yep.
it's not for people. It's not something I recommend anybody doing. People who
Yep.
do that and take $20 an hour paychecks, it's insane.
Hmm.
I can't
Yeah.
do that anymore.
Yeah. And the commercial companies are just doing that because they're taskmasters, or they have equipment that allows them to do that more in the winter.
When they're big enough, yeah, they get supplied with real nice coats, real nice chaps, all the equipment that they could need. But you still got to go out and do it. You're still the spearhead on the deal, and a lot of them, I mean, the pay still isn't that great. I mean, everything from the
Yep.
power companies through, I mean, a lot of the tree companies actually are contracted to power line companies, etc. But
Yep.
the work never stops unless it's a crazy blizzard or a crazy downpour or lightning, you know.
Yep. Yep.
But um they're doing it for the benefits. That's what
Yep.
America's about now. You got to have health insurance. You got to have
Yep.
or you're not going to make it. I mean, either that or you got to have a 50% higher paycheck. And
Yep.
that's why people keep showing up to work. You know, that's why they work for the
Yep.
line companies and stuff. 'Cause like I said, they have that safety net. They'd rather work with that safety net. I'd
Yeah.
rather just do less work and take it easy and
Yep.
prepare and cherry pick.
So
Otherwise, you're just,
tell me about the pros and cons of having your two kind of businesses, and how is that helpful? How is that sometimes maybe tough to, maybe divert your energies or.
well, so my automotive business is largely at this point doing um, specialty cars for people of the retirement age, largely, I would say. Um, I help out some other shops too. Where I worked, I was doing a lot of the electrical diagnostic, um, and just being a problem solver. And so that's always needed everywhere. There's plenty of people that can pull wrenches and do a very good job changing parts. But as things get more and more complicated, it seems more difficult to find people that can accurately diagnose what's wrong with your newer car.
Yep.
And I did that in Mass where I was working. I was most senior tech there, and leaving wasn't easy. He did treat me pretty good, but it was just a lot. You're getting, as like I tell people, I was like a mental anorexic on top of
Mm.
running my tree business on the side. Like I said, I'd kind of moved that all to the weekends, but just day over day, I'd have to learn because most shops, to be able to deal with it nowadays, much like even tech experts. You have people that'll capitulate more towards Mac or IBM or whatever. I Our shop didn't do that. With most car shops that get heavily involved technically, they usually stick with a group of manufacturers because the corporations have glommed together so much now. Like Volkswagen owns Audi, Porsche, and a number of Skoda, Scania. It's a mashup. We did them all. So every day something new would roll in. Sometimes they were so new that the data systems, even though we were as up to date as possible, I had to procure information that even the dealer couldn't get
Wow.
and try to fix a car, usually
Yeah.
for a body shop. Um, the body shops, it used to be, and I've explained this to people before. Um, the body shops, it used to be you crash your brand new car, you take it back to the dealer because they were the only ones with the tech knowledge to fix it. Well, maybe it's different in California. I don't know. I've never been to California. Furthest I've gone's Texas. Been all
Okay.
over the East. I've been up in Canada, but and I've been around the Caribbean. That's pretty interesting car situations there too. But at least in the Midwest now, if you crash your modern new car with 1,000 miles on it, say somebody T-bones you, whatever, it doesn't even have to be your fault. It's not going to the dealership. It's going to a franchisee body shop. Okay.
Hmm.
Well, what used to be a more strictly regulated area, the electronics of a car, even in this day of ADAS, are you familiar with ADAS?
Is that like a programming language? What is ADOS?
So ADAS is an acronym that I'm not gonna. It's essentially anything. It encompasses anything that's driver assistance. It's electronic. So
Okay.
anything that applies power to the brake pedal,
Hmm.
or the gas pedal, or the steering wheel via sensors and cameras on your car. So the self parking, the lane assist, or even your blind spot finder, the little orange light that lights up in your side view mirror, the cruise control that follows the person in front of you. All of these things affect your driver inputs. And as soon as they cross that line in the sand, it's a whole nother world. And I think that
Yep.
they're still coming down on the regulations with it. But
Hmm.
the odd thing for me is that in this world where now the electronics in our car, where they used to just make spark and fuel happen at the right time and maybe keep you from sliding on the ice so bad, now they can take control of the wheel, the brake, the gas. These diagnostics have been moved out of the dealership into these um, uh, private hands, essentially. Well, those corporations don't necessarily require them to keep the same strict regulations that the dealers used to when the
Hmm.
technologies were still new.
Hmm.
So our shop and what I did was literally fix problems that the body shop that the dealership was relying on to fix the problems couldn't fix.
Wow.
So I had to each new car that came in, I had to learn a system that was first off above my pay grade. It's the same
Hmm.
old story. The people who make the thing aren't the people who are buying it.
Hmm.
Um, and I used to make airplanes before that. That was the same thing. None of the people where I worked could afford one of those airplanes. There's no way. It just never would
Yep.
happen. Everywhere I worked, working on cars, nobody working there could afford the cars we're working on. Just kind of weird. But day over day, you try to think about, like, say you have a work day where you're working in a factory, you space out, you can think about everything else you got to do for that day. You think about what you got to do with your kid later. You can plan some things in your head. I couldn't do
Hmm.
that. I'm packing my
Hmm.
head as fast as I can to meet my time deadlines with
Yeah.
how this car works that I've never seen before, and then how it's supposed to work. The people bringing it to me don't even know how the functions or the
Yeah.
buttons work because it just came out 6 months ago.
So how
but
has
I
that
gotta
changed?
make it work.
Now that you're on your own, you're able to kind of pick and choose which the difficulty
Now
of the
I don't have
project
to
is
do
on?
any of that. I don't have
Got
to
it.
do any of that. I fix old cars, man.
Oh,
Way
great. Got it.
easier. I still help. I still jump in. I'll go help people.
Yep.
But there's there's a million piranha chomping at the bit for that word.
Yeah. I like the ringtone.
Everybody wants to try
So,
and learn to do it. It
so
just
that's a lesson. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
no.
Yeah.
No, it's the
Uh,
same thing with climbing trees. I can't
yeah.
recommend anybody to climb a tree. I'm the only
Yep.
person I ever met that'll diagnose your modern car and climb a tree.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to do what I do. But that's
Yeah.
why I make the money. When you do the thing, as I try to preach to the kids, go find the thing that nobody else wants to do that you're good at. And
Yep.
you got all the money you want,
Yep.
just depending on how much you want to do it.
Man, there's so much wisdom there. I think, in our society, it's, hey, do the popular thing on Instagram that everybody says you should do that's trending, or do the, you know, grow your business, bigger's better. These are all these like trendy things that are kind of ego driven and they're not based in wisdom, you know? Um,
Every time, I mean, can't you think of a situation when you're at any point, any age, where you're doing the thing that everybody else was trying to do? How hard was that to do? Now you got to fight everybody else who might be that much better. Whereas if you just did something that none of them wanted to do, you got to fight. There's no fight.
mm, mm, yep,
And there's always going to be more trees. There's always going to be situations you can't get equipment into. There's always going to be more new cars. And if the diagnostics are so complicated, it's going to price the cars out. The cars are already super expensive to start with, but when
yep,
every time, I mean, cars are going to crash. People are going to crash. Okay.
yep,
That stuff's going to get affected.
yep, yep,
And if there's nobody there to fix it,
yep,
the what's the car worth? Nothing.
yep, yep,
Can't sell it. Nobody wants to
yeah,
buy a car with a bunch of lights on the dash.
yep,
They ask,
uh,
why are these lights on? I don't know.
yeah,
Take it to
yeah,
the dealer. Dealer don't know.
yeah. Tell me a little bit about how you structure your businesses. You were mentioned before in pre-production call that you run your businesses both as sole proprietorships. So is there a reason you choose that structure over, LLCs?
Oh, they're both LLCs. They're both LLCs.
Oh,
I'm
they're
sorry.
LLCs now. Okay,
I'm just
got
the
it, got
sole proprietor, is all.
it. Okay,
That's what I
okay.
meant.
We were talking about some tax stuff and implications of
Hmm.
you switched over to LLC because you were able to get, better tax incentives for writing off your equipment and stuff.
Well, it's just as an employee, you don't get, as soon as you own a business,
Yeah,
it works for you. But
yeah,
if you're working for somebody, you can't claim what you used to be able to
yeah.
for your
And
expenses.
so, and I guess if you're working for someone, if you can start an LLC and then be a subcontractor, that's,
I
got
mean,
pros and
I've told people, there's so many things that I think at this point, one of the best things you can do is everybody should have some sort of small LLC that applies in some level with what they do on a day. I mean, if you have to purchase your own materials of any
yep,
kind to do your job and you're working for somebody else, you might as well
yep,
have your own LLC, because then and then do at least enough to cover your write-offs, because you still got to make enough income to offset any of those tools. But
mhm,
if you just do side work that's enough to cover the tools you need for your primary job, you're winning.
yep,
But
exactly.
it's unfortunate that we have to do that, I think,
Yeah,
personally.
yeah, yeah. Not even like my handyman just got all his tools stolen out of his truck, and the fact that he can't write that off, he's got to go out and buy, however many more tools, that's like crazy. And I'm sure he's definitely not an LLC. I know. So that's, yeah, definitely something worth considering.
Well, I mean,
Um,
yeah, you can't unless he insured that stuff, he's not going to anyway.
yep,
And then
yep,
whether or not he registered his truck properly. So if you're working out of your vehicle, that's a different thing entirely. If
yeah,
it's storing your tools,
yes,
that's a whole nother thing. Anytime I got tools in my vehicle, it's just for transport. It's not for storage. So say you're like a mobile mechanic, whatever. Well, your truck is your toolbox. Well, that's a whole different entity. That's a whole nother ball game. So you got to have
yep,
that whole deal insured differently.
yep,
I don't
yep,
need to do that.
yeah,
It's essentially what I'm saying is to do the best you can for the efforts you're putting forth these days, instead of just going ahead and trying to make a dollar and then hoping the rules work out for you. You need to study all the rules and the tax outlines to and then you basically got to capitulate to that. You have to adhere to that. You have to form your business model around the rules. Otherwise, you're in some level or another working for free. You're working to pay
mm,
somebody else. So like I was saying, the world's not going to try and promote individual businesses like me because the rest of the world doesn't make any dollars off of me. If I got 10 guys, I got to feed the beast, I got to pay the loans, I got to pay insurance, vacation,
yep,
etc. Like I said, I'm going to be paying somebody for marketing. I'll be paying
yep,
somebody to cover my website, to respond to my calls or do estimates for me or whatever,
yep,
because I can't be spread that thin. Not if I want to live a life. Now, if I want to have a family, you
yep,
know.
yep,
So you have to pay people. You have to do that. So,
yeah,
I mean, it's beneficial for everybody around you, but in the end, when you shake it out at the end of the year, doing your taxes, how much did you actually make? Versus if you just worked a little harder by yourself on your
yep,
own schedule. So for me and what I do, it just works out better.
yeah. No, I think it's definitely people should consider, smaller being the right business model for them. I think everybody's different, right? Some industries are more scalable than others. Um, some people just have that kind of entrepreneur DNA where they just like love the challenge of building something and managing people, and that's their personality. So I think answer is going to be different to everybody, but sometimes smaller is more profitable, and maybe less stress, right? With some trade offs, right? You can't set your crew up and then go off and whatever, take care of other errands and stuff like you have to be doing on the job during those 8 to 5 hours, right? Those hours are really valuable for
Well,
just life things.
it's like I said, I mean, you get to pick your hours, but I mean, instead of 8 hours every day, sometimes I got a 14-hour day. But
Yep,
usually after that, I'm taking 2 days off.
yep,
So
yeah,
you pick and choose.
yeah,
But you just gotta plan it all out, you know.
yep, yep, yep. Very cool. What's your goals for the business? Kind of your like where you're at, or any goals over the next couple of years here?
Just to get to a healthy plateau,
Yep,
really. That's all. And just maintain. I mean, um, like you're saying, benefits and things. I'm in a good position where my spouse covers our benefits. I would not I would probably be on some line crew or in an engineering position or whatever. I went to college, I have degrees, um, but I didn't even really follow those because once again, the politics of a larger corporation and the stress of it it's just too hard to fight up
yep,
nowadays.
yeah,
Whereas now it's directly how much time do I want to put in is how much I get back out.
yep,
If I want to spend time, I got a younger kid, um, trying to, put as much time as I can in with her,
yeah.
and it's not going to last forever, you know?
Sure, sure.
Uh, and I got tired of just not seeing it. It's 40 hours, 50 hours a week, you
Yep.
know. I get home, say what's up, a little bit
Yep.
of this, a little bit of that, and it's bedtime, you know. And
Yeah.
then wake up, do it again. Wake up, do it again. You know, and if you got anything outside of your occupation on the weekend, like I said, I had a side tree business. A lot of times I'm cutting a tree on the weekend. So,
Sure. Sure.
and I just, you add it all out. Okay, yes, I'm getting these benefits,
Yep.
but ultimately, is it worth it? You know,
Hmm.
for what I'm doing. Like I said, my job was mentally very stressful. I
Yep.
didn't really have a thought of my own the whole time I'm
Yep.
doing it. And I
Yeah.
was in, I gotta say, the nicest place I could work in town, short of
Yeah.
a really nice dealership. I mean, the place
Yep.
we were at was all brand new, newest equipment, newest everything.
Yeah.
And as a result, we got the newest vehicles, you know.
Sure.
But like I said, I would say, the nicest thing about a dealer is at least you're sticking with one kind of brand. And after a while, it's just like anything else. You learn how that brand does things, and you don't got to go look things up as much. You start
Yeah.
memorizing it. And I
No,
did, but
yeah. No,
it's
it
still
sounds
a
like it
lot.
was
That's still
mental
a lot.
gymnastics, and it sounds like you're smart, so you're able to do that. But yeah, maybe not sustainable for the brain. Um,
Well, and then, everything changes in the automotive industry. It feels like every 6 months,
yep.
everything from regulations, rules, software, and I feel like it would be a lot for just one brand even. Because I mean, you go to a dealership, it a lot of the guys who do are top level techs, they're whittled down to not just one brand, but typically like one line of vehicles, either like the
Mhm.
SUVs or one set of motors or
Mhm.
transmissions. They really split it up, and
Yep.
that's honestly how you can get a lot further ahead. And that's a lot of industries too. You go
Yep.
to a factory, there's nobody in a factory that knows all the how everything works. They know how their area works. They'll tell you everything about their area. But you go
Yeah.
2 rooms over and they're like, they got a general idea, you know?
Yeah. Definitely specializing, I think, is the theme of this podcast.
Yep. Once
Um,
again, find the thing nobody else wants to do.
you know, yeah, specialize in the thing that's not necessarily the popular thing.
Just
And
honestly, any one thing. I've jumped between so many industries, I've kind of screwed myself over. I
yeah,
think
well, that's
I've told kids because I mentor kids. I do. You ever heard of First Robotics?
no.
No. Okay. So there's a program. It goes all the way to California. It's international at this point, but it's
Yep.
an engineering competition in the high school level where uh, the kids develop a robot around a. They don't reveal it until the first of the year. Um, but it's a standardized course and they get together. There's team building. They work with other teams because each round of competition, there's 3 teams on each side. And the next
Okay.
round, you may be joined with one of the teams you just went against.
Okay.
But there's a general problem. It's usually something like put a ball in a basket or make the robot climb, or
Yep.
it's compounded. But you build the thing over a couple of basically 2 months. Is between like January and February, and then in March you compete
Okay.
every year. It's a
Yep.
pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So I help with that, but all the kids are going towards an engineering background. They're all future engineers, and so I try to mentor them and tell them. And a lot of what I have to say is, yeah, learn one thing that you like and you don't think you're going to get tired of, and if you stick with that and you're the go-to, that's where you'll make the most money. Just simply
Yep.
put.
Hmm.
You as a podcaster, you're not going to go out to be an editor of a newspaper tomorrow, right? Like it's similar, but it's still different, right?
Yep.
You stick
Yep.
and you stay in your lane. I never did that. I try to be an
Hmm.
example for the kids. Don't do it. Don't be me. If I would
Yep.
have stuck in any one industry, I'd be making 10 times what I'm making now. But still wouldn't have
That's
the
the problem.
freedom, and I
Yeah.
probably would not see my family. I'd be traveling around.
Yeah, that's the problem with being capable and smart. Like you're probably good at doing a lot of things, JP, and that's probably your biggest strength and weakness, right? Then you can get pulled in a lot of different directions.
Well, as we were
And
discussing politics, I see both sides of every story and then have a really hard time making any decision.
mm,
I see both sides of everything. We can go
yeah,
down any kind of rabbit hole,
yeah, yeah.
but
No, and just in terms of like you're giving advice to kids and stuff, I think that's one of the problems with everybody on social media. We have access to a million ways to make a career in the trades, or a million ways to become an entrepreneur, or a million ways to make, a bunch of money. And we have too much information. We need to like be focused, laser focused on one thing. And our brains are so ADD now with short form content that it's hard for people to focus their energy down on, one thing. And so I
have
think
you
that's
ever
a good
taken a
lesson.
debate class or a statistics class?
I have, yeah, yeah.
Now, what do you see being the common factor between those two?
Debate and statistics. I don't know, seeing what works and kind of.
Common factor is that at some point you're allowed to prove your point, usually counter to what you entered it with.
Hmm.
So in a debate class, typically they figure out what your position is and make you argue the opposite so that you have a perspective. Now
Hmm.
statistics can do the same thing. You can
Hmm.
you can take a set of numbers and present it in two different ways to make somebody decide A or B.
Hmm.
Okay? And this is where I'm at. If you look far enough down either perspective on two sides of any line in the sand, you're just going to be as confused as I am.
Yep.
And you can do it
Yep.
with statistics or debate procedures or
Yeah.
tactics, if you will. So
So what's the lesson
anybody,
there? At some point, you just
uh,
gotta choose something and choose it. I mean, from a
well,
career standpoint, I guess there's no best career. It's just the one that you choose and get good at, right? I
nowadays
mean,
I just feel like people are trying to choose between saving people or saving their money. We saw how they chose. Oh wait, we
yeah,
weren't supposed to get political. I'm sorry.
yeah. I tell young people, figure out what are the don't do what you're passionate about. You might be able to do what you're passionate about, but not necessarily. Figure out what are the gifts God's given you. What are the needs in the community at this time in 2025 or whatever year it is now, um, and how can I use my gifting to meet those needs in the community? And that's where joy and happiness comes from, is from aligning our gifting with the needs in the community to bring value to other humans. So that's my nugget of wisdom for the world. Any final nuggets you want to leave to the kids or the other entrepreneurs out there watching this?
I could. How long you want to talk?
Give me a TikTok version of it.
So reiterate what you just said because I had a couple of fleeting thoughts. I got a little of the ADHD, so I shoot down paths. But
Yep. I tell young people, instead of pursuing your passions, figure out what's the gifting God's given you. What are the things you're good at that maybe other people aren't? What are the needs in the community at this moment in time? Um, and how can you align your gifting to meet the needs in the community and serve other people and bring value to other people? And that's where happiness and joy comes from.
so here's where I just remember. Okay, so we got 2 points you're making here. So the one is that you meet the needs of the community. Okay, I feel like that's almost considered less these days, considering the number of introverts that now exist post COVID and even
Mm,
going into COVID. The internet has made in mass way more introverts, way
mm,
more, way more. There's a number of people, they don't like what's going on out in the world, but they're not going to risk their anxiety to necessarily make a difference. It's not that they don't want to make a difference, but their internal turmoil won't let them.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So they're going to be doing it in passive aggressive manners on the internet, etc. And that's why it's so popular to blow up blogs and blow up comments and blow up. The other thing you were saying is what you're passionate about. But I got cautionary tales about that. Okay. If you do for a job, so you've heard the song "Every Day I'm on Vacation because I love my occupation," right? You know? Well, the problem with that I found is that if you do for an occupation what you like to do for a hobby, it just means you're working all the time. Your hobby now became your work. You need to have a polar separation. That's a bit of advice I got. People get burnt out because you could be doing model trains. Say you love doing model trains, and suddenly you get hired to set up a huge exhibit, and you get paid well. Are you gonna want to go home and still play with your trains? You know what I mean? I mean, it's just an analogy, but it applies on so many levels. Cars and trees too, where I'm at. I like messing with my own cars. Do I want to fix my cars after I just fix somebody else's car all day? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's good to go after what you're passionate about, find that niche. But if it's too close to what you just like to do, you're just working all the time. And that's unfortunate.
That's why I've thought about dating a massage therapist, JP, but I've decided not to because I'm like, maybe they don't want to give me a massage when they come home from work.
They definitely don't. They don't. They don't.
Yeah,
If you're out
yeah,
here talking to plumbers and stuff, ask them how many leaky pipes they got,
yeah,
because it's always, they're the last ones to fix their own shit.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just the way it is. Everybody who does blue collar, it's
yeah,
unfortunate. The drywaller's got holes in his wall. The painter's got flaking paint on his house. You get home, you want to relax. You don't want to
yeah,
just keep working.
yeah, yeah.
So I caution the kids against that. You like
Sure.
this a whole lot, but try to go a little tangential with it so you
Yep,
can still keep your hobby alive. Keep,
yep,
keep yourself moving instead of just falling into spiraling on social media or video games or whatever. I don't know. Well,
yeah.
you can't even say video games anymore because kids are making money at video games.
Very
So,
true. True. Yeah,
I grew up, my parents, oh, that's a waste of time. And then I see these kids out
yeah.
there just shooting them up at Medal of
Yeah.
Honor, making bank. Like,
Oh,
I should have
there's,
stuck with it, maybe. I
there's
don't know.
time. There's still time for you, JP. There's still time for you to make your gaming
Oh,
debut
right.
career.
Yeah, right. No, I'm a lost cause in that respect.
Start training with your kid, and let's
Yeah,
go.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
right. Yeah, I'll be
JP,
the more.
cool conversation, brother. You're like really smart guy. It's cool getting into your engineering brain. You've thought about things really deeply, and you've made your business work for you. It's cool seeing, you know, what you've done in your, professional life and balancing that with family. So yeah, super stoked to have you on the podcast, and definitely some good wisdom there for folks watching.
I gotta ask, what's your hat represent?
This is it's Venice, Venice, California here, but it says "Be Nice." That's like the brand.
I gotcha.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So there we go. Yeah, I need to get
Sure.
some more hats. I'm like wearing the same two hats on all my podcasts, so
They're
I'm
still
like
rocking flat bills out in Cali, huh?
still rocking flat bills. Yeah, I need to get some. You know, what are the still? I had a cool still like chainsaw hat. I need to get one of those for branding.
You
Yeah,
got a whole collection. I don't wear any of them. I keep looking up at them.
send
I
them
was
out.
looking at your hat. That's why I kept looking up. I was like, which one of these
Yeah,
should I pop on right now? But
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know.
Very cool. Um, favorite tree trimmer chainsaw hat brand. There you go. What do you got for me? Who makes the coolest hat in the game?
The vintage like steel hats. So I collect
Yep.
all kinds of weird, stupid stuff, and I got
Yeah.
some weird old hats. I don't know if they're up here right now. They might be tucked away in a box, but I
Okay.
got this one
Cool.
old steel chainsaw hat. I think it's from like the 50s, but it has a
Nice.
short brim and a
Hmm.
puffball. It's mint, but it was made for ladies back in the
Oh,
time when they didn't
yeah.
assume that ladies were ever going to touch
I'm
a
not judging.
chainsaw.
I'm not judging.
I'm just
This is,
saying how the
yeah,
times were. I mean, you can't. I
yeah,
mean, you can say what things were.
yeah,
How many lumberjacks do you think there were? Lumberjills in the
yeah.
1950s,
I'm going on
1960s.
eBay after we finish this call. I'm going on eBay and I'm ordering a vintage
Yeah,
steel hat.
good luck. I don't even know what it's worth. I don't know where it's at
Yeah,
either.
it's gonna be extra. Have extra sweat and be extra grimy probably,
I
but
mean, if you're
yeah,
getting into collecting old chainsaw hats, look for the brands that don't exist anymore. I mean,
yeah. That's
that's what
cool
you
too.
go for.
That's even cooler. Very cool. Brother, cool connecting with you. And yeah, great convo. And yeah, thanks again for taking the time to come on.
All right. You ever do any debates or anything?
You know, I try not to. I no, yeah, I mean, we were talking, in pre-production about, politics and stuff. And I think it's super cool that you're able to see both sides of things and
I think
yeah, but we
everybody
could
needs to. Everybody needs to.
yeah,
That was the whole point of the system from the get-go.
yeah,
Everybody needs to look at what everybody has to say.
yeah.
Not just keep
I think
listening to the things you want to hear. Listen to the things you don't want to hear.
empathy, I think we're scared as humans, right? We're scared to see the other side of things and we kind of cling
You
to our
can't
own little
you can't get
perspective out of fear.
empathetic. You can't get
Yeah,
empathetic until you hear the other side, though. And other people
yeah,
don't even listen to the other side, whatever their side may be. There's
yep,
no empathy to be developed if there's no counter.
yep, yep. Okay, well, we get into some politics off the pod. It's to be continued there, but yeah, good stuff, JP. Send me some pictures of the cool hats I need to look for on eBay,
Yeah, right.
and we'll be talking soon.
Well, give me a text line or something. I guess.
Okay,
Otherwise, I don't even have your
absolutely.
email or nothing. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. No, maybe we'll connect on Facebook or something, or Instagram, wherever you're
I'm
at these
easy to
days.
find. I got a Facebook for the tree, and I got a Google for the tree. Oh, Google Map,
Okay,
whatever.
okay. You remind me of that Louisiana law enforcement guy. He's in like Congress now. He's like, "Come get me. I'm easy to find." Talking to
Thought you were
gangster
about to
guys.
say, you ever seen that Swamp Loggers? That Shelby guy? That guy is
Yeah,
insane.
really.
Oh, go watch
Yeah,
that. That
okay.
guy, I got nothing on him.
Yeah, yeah. You loggers, you're kind of. We didn't even get into that. You guys are a little bit definitely crazy. That's like the top tier of dangerous jobs in America. So
Can't
thank
recommend
you
it
for
for anybody, really.
your service. I mean, it's a dangerous job. But, yeah, it makes America go round. So knocking the wood table right here. Um, okay, sir. To be continued.
See you, bye.
Yes.